Welcome to the Dr. Tom Show. Today, I am really excited to have one of the most passionate men I've ever had the pleasure of listening to from the stage. Zues has decided to join us all the way from Texas. So super pleased that he's managed to do the early mornings to accommodate for our schedule, and we are forever grateful. But I know that everybody listening is going to get so much from what he's got to say. Zues is a chiropractor. He's a family man. And he just loves the finer things in life. But we're going to talk about why in a second. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. I really appreciate that.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited this morning, this evening where y'all at.
And this is true, but people who are watching the YouTube, and I said this just before the show, and I hope you can hear this on the podcast, but I am beaming with excitement for this recording. So let's get straight into it, because you're a chiropractor. You have been for many years. I just want to know how you got into that. What spurred you to get into chiropractic and help people?
As a teenager, and as a young man, I played football, and being from the States and being from specifically New Orleans, Louisiana, growing up, man. We didn't have big dreams of being lawyers and doctors and stuff like that. We chose, like, man, we had to, do something like athletics or rap to be able to escape the hood. And so I played football growing up, and playing football, I grew a passion for weightlifting and working out and for exercise. So when I went to college, I majored in sports medicine, sports science, and just really got into the health and fitness world. And my last year of college, I was riding to class in the car, and me and a classmate, we got into a car accident. So when we got into the car accident, what we know in the United States is that if somebody hits you, you go to the chiropractor, because if you go to the chiropractor, you're going to get a check because you're going to sue the person that hit you, right? So I went to the chiropractor so I could get me a check, man. I'm trying to give me some money. And I started going to see this chiropractor, and the guy was open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. So 2.5 days a week. So he was a real cool guy, real interesting guy in the college town that I went to school in. And we grew to talk, and he just asked me about my next move and my major. And, he just started talking to me about chiropractic. And then, at the time, I was just wanting to do something that just made me some money so I can get out the hood. And the guy told me that he made $200,000 a year in profits. And I was like, $200,000 for 2.5 days a week? Sign me up. And, about 6 months later, dog, I was in chiropractic school. I didn't know nothing about it, had never been, hadn't even been adjusted before. And I just was like, sign me up. And, dude, that's how I got into chiropractic.
I love that. I love that honest and authentic answer. And what's lovely is that you can make money helping people, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that at all. We should not be ashamed. So how's your journey been in terms of going from that, I say kid, like, young man, like, into really building a practice? Because you've got a lovely, busy, practice. How's that been nurtured? How's that grown? How have you changed the person maybe as you've been doing that?
Dude, practice hasn't been easy, man. Growing a business and growing practice, and I personally believe as chiropractors, we just, especially as a student, we just have this thing that people love chiropractic, and that's just not the truth. You know what I mean? It's like people are just not beating down our walls to come to get adjusted. That's just not the fact. So when I was in chiropractic school, I didn't play any games. It was like, I got to do this. I ain't failing no classes. I got to knock this out. And growing up in the neighborhood, as I got involved into the weights, I used to be a brawler. So in my crew, I was the guy that, I was the punisher. I was the bruiser, man. So I was always good with my hands. And when I got into chiropractic school and we started doing an adjustment, I thought I was good in football. And obviously I wasn't, because I didn't make it to the league, right? But chiropractic was the first thing that I knew that I could do with my eyes closed, giving an adjustment. And I just fell in love with it. So I started hanging out with these guys who were like they to this day, man, I still hang out with these guys, and they run a mastermind for chiropractors, a large mastermind. And I started hanging with these guys who was visionaries, and they knew how they knew a year and a half, 2 years into school, how they was going to build their practices, what cities they want to go in. So I started to hang with those guys throughout school and became friends with them. But I didn't have the commitment level and the self-discipline that they had. So when they graduated, these guys opened up practice and were successful straight out of the gate, straight out of chiropractic school. Months later, these guys were buying homes. I mean, they were just doing big things. I wasn't as committed and didn't have the self-discipline. So when we graduated out of school, me and my wife, she's a chiropractor as well. We went and we was going to open up a chiropractic franchise with a company that was opening up franchises across the U.S. And then I realized that wasn't for me, and my family funded us with the money to open the practice. And we opened the practice, dude, with my family money, and like, I don't come from no rich family, dog. So this was money that these people sweated and worked for, you dude. Mm-hmm. So when we opened up a practice, we were struggling. We struggled for almost a year and a half. I mean, to the point where it's like, I remember nights when we barely had money. We didn't have money to eat. We barely had money for gas. And then things turned around in practice when we really just started owning who we were. Because I would wear a tie and slacks and dress shoes. Man, that's not who I am, man. I'm a t-shirt and jeans type of dude. And when we really started owning who we are and just say, you know what, we gonna be who we are, and we gonna just serve with love, then things started to turn around. And over the years, you know, the practice went from 50 patients a week, and then 100 patients a week, and then 200 and 300 to 400 to 5, and even above now, you know what I mean? So it took really growing and owning who we were as people, because people can feel the fakeness. They can feel the fake love. They can feel the phoniness in you. And when you own who you are, then that makes people attractive. Now, you got to also find people who you want to model your business around. You know what I mean? You also got to find mentors. And, you know, it was a lot of steps, man, and a lot of soul searching and self-reflecting in that. But over the years, man, we've been doing really, really well, man. We've helped a lot of people, not just in the community, but other chiropractors across the world. And it's been a great thing, man. It's been such a journey, but it hasn't been easy. So, you know, as chiropractors, we got to remember that people don't know. They don't just want what we have. We got to get out there and educate. We got to get out and serve with love. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot we got to do to get people to want to come into these offices and spend their hard-earned money.
You're so absolutely right. And you do see those who are being successful, who are being themselves. And like you say, people don't necessarily want chiropractic. They're buying Zeus. They're buying you. They're buying your authenticity, and how you help them happens to be your vehicle of chiropractic.
Absolutely.
I suppose coming from where you've come from and it being a tough environment, did you feel that maybe you couldn't have been yourself so much? Is that something that you had to really, were you yourself and then became something else when you became a chiropractor and then back out, or were you never really expressing yourself? Tell us about your youth, because I'm really intrigued by that. That's so far removed from what no.
As a youngster, man, growing up in the streets of New Orleans, bro, it was like, we didn't have many role models that was like just legal successful people, man. We had role models, but they was dudes in the street that we looked to. They was good people, but didn't have the right guidance and the right mentors. And, you know, for me, I use sports as a way to get out and go to college. And then I started hanging around like the right people. And then when I got to chiropractic school, man, you know, I had never knew anything about like setting goals and like, what's your life plan? I was like, shit, I don't know. I just want to get a job and get the hell up out this hood. You know what I mean? So growing up and being around these dudes that had vision and, you know, talked about making millions of dollars and how they were going to buy their second homes. I'm like, second homes? My parents were working all their life for this little house that they have, second homes. So then your vision got expanded, and I felt like I couldn't be who I was, man. I'm an educated man that's from the street. So I got this educated part of me and this hood part of me that brings the balance, that brings the best part of me. You know what I mean? A lot of times we complain about the hands that we dealt, but hey, the hand that I was dealt is a great hand, man. I took a bad hand and is making a good life out of it, for not just for myself, but my family and people that are around me, right? So just being able to be around those people, I felt like I couldn't be who I was because people wasn't going to accept me. But the truth of the matter is, when I really say, man, I only know how to be me, dog. I can't be being these other guys and comparing my life and my story and their stories together. It's like, be who the hell you are, stand up and be the best version of you, and people are going to love it. Because guess what? In my practice, dude, just like I'm on this call, I'm like this every day. People will tell you, like, man, you know, there's sometimes people I deliver adjustments. Somebody be like, oh, I was like, oh, that's a good damn adjustment today. You know what I mean? And just being who I am, because that's what people love. They want you. You know, when you got on the call, when you sent me the message and said, man, I wanted, you know, I want you on the call. I remember 3 years ago being in London, and I remember, you know what I mean? I just remember the interactions. I was like, man, he's a good guy. I see what you're doing. You know what I mean? And people want to be a part of you when you're doing good things and you're being yourself and you're being your authentic you. People want to be a part of that. It was like, man, Ty want to get on call? Let's do it. I like it. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So just really, really owning who you are, dog. That's the first thing. There's a lot of steps to you know, I won't say I've mastered my life, but I'm really understanding my life and my journey and just appreciating it instead of saying, oh, I could have did this different. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, I agree. And sometimes people do fall into that excuse or comparison. I think is a difficult thing. I'm intrigued, you know, when you went to chiropractic school, you must have been around people who, because chiropractic it's a lot of sort of family tradition. It's a lot of same way of being. You must have been the purple cow in your class. Like, you know, was that difficult? Did you experience that or not?
No, dog. You know what? Honestly, like, you know, I went to Life University in Atlanta, and a lot of people did come from like families of chiropractors, but others, they were first generation chiropractors or first generation doctors, man. And then people were just genuine, dog. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when I was in like chiropractic school, and I know right now in the world, and especially in the US, there's a lot of racial tension going on, but we ain't had none of that. In chiropractic school, man, it wasn't none of that, man. You know, even when I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, you know what I mean? I didn't experience people like really, you know, people are always to a degree racist, but I didn't experience like people like holding me back. So I would never say, you know, my shortcomings or my upbringing was because I was being suppressed. Because if I'm being honest, in New Orleans, if you be racist to somebody or you call them out of their name, man, we'll kill you. You will die. You know what I mean? So people ain't trying to die like that. So it doesn't happen. So in Atlanta, I wasn't the purple cow. People like really saw me. It, you know, even over the years, some of my friends and colleagues and people, they associates, they saw the greatness in me before I even saw it, dog. And it's because, you know, it's just sometimes we have that self-doubt creep in and people like, dude, you're incredible. I be like, well, you're super successful. You think I'm incredible? I think you're incredible. And, you know, and you have to see that in you. You know what I mean? So you have to see that in you, and when you see it, or when you discover your self-worth is incredible. So when we were in chiropractic school in Atlanta, bro, it was just a bunch of like-minded people saying, you know what, we not gonna go work for people. We're gonna go start these practices straight out of the gates with humble beginnings, and we're gonna build a life of our dreams. So man, I mean, it was a bunch of purple cows.
I love that. I love it. And I suppose you did mention earlier that you left school and then it was like, oh, it's a bit different. So we can surround ourselves by those people, and you know, maybe easier if you're an institution of like-minded people. If people are on their own and they're listening to this podcast and they're listening to, you know, they're getting fired up on your enthusiasm, they're inspired by your story, how can they not just in a couple of hours time lose that inspiration? How can they actually do something to to cultivate that passion, to cultivate that certainty in self? What can they do? Have you got any tips for them?
Man, you know what? I didn't make this up, right? Because, you know, a mentor of mine, he talked about making a list, right? So what I did was to really discover what really like gets my fire going, dog, is I took this list of things that I were naturally good at, or things that I love, that I like doing. You know what I mean? So I made this list of things that I was just good. So I even asked people, my white friends, like, dog, what am I really good at? And I had came up with this list of about 8 things that I'm just natural, like God-given talents that I'm just good at, right? And then I went back on the other side of the list. I went back and put an asterisk by the things that I was passionate about. So the guy talked about when you mix your God-given natural abilities with your passion, that's how you get the best out of your life. Because some people right now today, some people who are going to be listening to this podcast, they're doing things that make them money. They might be good at it, but they're not passionate about. So when they go back and make their list and then match their passions up with those God-given natural abilities, then it's like, boom, that's how you reach the most out of your life. Because if I'm doing something that I'm good at and I'm passionate about it, I can't get burnt out time or fatigue. How can I do that? You know what I mean? It's like right now, I am doing something that I love to do. Being able to tell people about my story in chiropractic, man, is something that I love. Being a chiropractor, that the power of that adjustment when you see the lady who can't walk, get out that wheelchair and get up and stand and shake her booty. How can you not be excited about that every day? You see what I'm saying? I'm passionate about helping other people in their lives, not just chiropractors. When you take a person who was down in the dumps and now their life has changed, when they discover their self-worth, oh my God, I'm ready to wake up every morning early and get after it. When you discover that passion with that God-given ability, man, and that's the best advice I have for people to make that list.
I am speechless because it literally put it all in a nutshell and made it so simple for people to do. And I assume then when you lean into that talent and that passion, there's that little bit of, you know, say you're doing a job that makes you money and your family have told you that's worth doing, your friends sort of give you credit for it, and you've built your life on that, to then jump into what you really love. That's a difficult step to move away from, like, judgment, I suppose, is the hard bit to get over, huh?
Yeah, I mean, dog, guess what? People gonna always have something to say. See, that's the good thing about being from the streets. If you do something good, they gonna say something. You do something bad, so you learn that people gonna say something regardless. The hell with those people, because
Yeah.
when you die, when that last breath come out of you and I, that's it. They can't take that breath for us. We do what we want, because guess what? When you working in your natural given abilities, bro, and that passion, the money is gonna follow, dog.
Yeah.
We like money. We like to find the things, right? But when you doing what's right, you don't even have to force your blessings. You don't even have to force good things that's happened to you. Now it happens organically. I remember forcing people to refer to us. I remember forcing, you know, where we try to get all of these new patients. And nowadays, dog, it just happens organically. Because when it happens organically, when you're working in your passion and your gifts, it just happens. You're like, oh crap, we got 10 referrals today. We didn't get 10 referrals in a month in the past, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And you're so right. Like, we should be rewarded for what we do well, and what, you know, and living our truest authentic purpose in life. I genuinely believe that. And one of the rewards we would get is money. The other rewards we'll get is love and appreciation. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't know what it's like in the States, but over here we have this almost inverse snobbery that if someone is successful, then it's something to be tabooed. And, you know, it's just odd, you know, it's odd. I
It's a
love that.
jealousy. It's a jealousy thing, man, and we have to make it for people to be okay. Because even the way, like, where I grew up, sometimes family members, you know, they tend to, you know, they may be like, man, sometimes, you know, I forget where I came from, or I'm bougie now because, you know, because of, you know, the type of life that we live now. And it's like, am I bougie, or the hood is dog shit? You know what I mean? And I don't want to go back there. It's like when, you know what I mean, when you used to living in shit water, and then you experience, you know, the freaking seawater, that beautiful ocean water. What are you gonna choose? You know what I mean? So you damn right I'm bougie.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You've given so much in such a short space of time that I know everybody listening to this has been listening all the way through and is going to get so much from it. If you had to give people a pearl of wisdom to go on, something to take away from this that they can go and do right now when they put down their device, what would it be? What would it be?
Man, you know, my best advice, besides that, making that list, man, and I believe that, like, if you ready for your life to just change. And you know, I had that really about last year for Super Bowl weekend. I just started having this reflection. It was like, man, you know, we're doing good things, but I'm not living my life to my finest ability. And so I started just having this walk with God. And I'm no theologian, you know what I mean? I just said some cuss words, but I've had to look myself in the mirror and look at myself and say, man, you got to start taking accountability for your life. And I didn't grow up as a self-disciplined person, and nor was I taught self-discipline as a child, and even as a man. So you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, man, I want more for myself. And you have to take accountability for your life and where it is going and for everything that's happened. And the good thing about life in the way that the world and energy and how God works is that when you're ready to turn, you can just turn. You can drop all of the bad habits, the lack of discipline, and you know, God forgives, and so should we, right? So at any time, you can just turn it around and say, man, I'm ready. I'm going to make this commitment to myself, to my life, to my family, to the people that's around me, to the people that look up to me. And you got to really train your thoughts. You got to start disciplining yourself. You got to be consistent as a person, and things going to change. Now, for each person, that may take you 3 months. It may take you 6 months. It may take you a year, but it took me almost a year to really retrain myself, man, and to really like start. You know, I just had to take ownership for everything, dude. And then now it's like self-discipline. And, you know, I tell people right now, if I have to question a decision or a move, if I have to question if it's right, if I have to, man, is this the right thing to do? If I have to question that, it's the wrong thing to do. You don't do it, right? And then you're going to get tested along this journey. You're going to get tested. You're going to be tested in so many ways, dude. And as you pass those tests, man, that life is going to continue. Then all of a sudden, boom, you discover your self-worth. And once you learn your worth, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just something, it's just the scent that you have on you now. It's almost like the scent, a scent of Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, one, you know, and people going to smell that and they're going to be like, oh, I want to be, he smell good. I want to be around this guy. I want to be around this gal. And then, you know, and then things start to happen organic, because now you have this scent of just, you have this scent of passion. You have this scent of love. You have this scent of success. And then people they're just gonna be, well, I want to smell that. So things are gonna start to happen organically, and things are gonna start going in your right. But you have to continue to stay disciplined. You have to continue to stay consistent so that, you know, so that scent don't fade.
Brilliant. And I actually want to keep going on that a little bit, because you talked about discipline, and get a little bit more practical for people. Give them a couple of self-discipline steps that they can just start with, something to just start with to just nudge that door open. Where would you say they could start with self-discipline?
I believe it depends on your life and where you are, right? We know our weaknesses. Like for some people, it could be chocolate. You see what I'm saying? They're like, man, I'm gonna go on this diet. I'm gonna go on this diet. And then you go on a diet for 10 days, and on day 11, you're like, I'm gonna eat the chocolate, right? So it's different for each person. So, you know, for me, it was all about being consistent, because I had a habit of, you know, I put my foot on the gas, and when things start going good, then I'm like, I'm gonna let off, and then you don't even realize it until you like, oh, this hasn't been working for a while. Now I got to put my foot on the gas. So I just got tired of being this helter-skelter person, you know what I mean? And it's like, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So I'm like, you know what? I just want to always I just always want to be on go going forward, right? So for me, one of those things was about consistency in pretty much every facet of my life. So I just wanted to stay consistent, you know, whether that was posting on social media or whatever. And just the consistency is really, they say, you know, people say consistency is key, but the consistency is just like, it just really teach you that, you know, that discipline. And then it's like, no matter what, I'm going to just go, I'm going to just do it. So if you want to work out and lose weight, you just got to be consistent with those workouts. Maybe you don't work 7 days a week, but you work out 5 days a week. And on those 2 days that you don't work out, don't eat the freaking chocolate. You know what I mean? You got to find an alternative. You know what I mean? So I believe that for each person is different for where you at in your life, because for some of us, it may not be as major, you know, it may not be such a drastic change. And for other people, it may be, you know.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. You've definitely been talking to my wife about the chocolate though, haven't you? You got me on that one. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. I've personally got so much from that, and it's definitely going to fuel me for weeks to come. And I know it's going to make a huge difference to our audience's life. But I'd love to know if people want to get hold of you, or, you know, Zues is you're available for public talks. Is that right? You've spoken all around the world with your talks. You're also just an amazing person to watch and follow. Where can people get a hold of you?
My Instagram is Dr Zues Senior, Dr underscore Zues underscore Senior SR. You can reach me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm Cornell Zues Cornish, Zues, and Cornell Zues Cornish DC. I had to start a new page because I got like 5,000 followers on Facebook, so you can hit me through there. Twitter, I'm Dr. Zues Senior. Man, just hit me up, man, if you got any questions, man. Like I say, I have a passion about helping people discover they self-worth, man, and like who they are. I just love seeing people come from the bottom and make it. If you already at the top and if you already high and you just want to reach that next level, man, we here for you too. It's just exciting to be a part of that. To like when you get your light turned on, dog, and you know that fire get under you, man. You just want to see everybody experience that joy.
I really appreciate it. We'll definitely put the links in the show notes. And thank you very much for joining us today. Have a fabulous day ahead. I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you ever so much.
No problem, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
Dude, that was great. I really appreciated that. It was awesome. Thank you.
No problem, man.
I love your energy. If there's anything you need, please let me know, and you know, we'll connect soon. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Have a good day. All right.
You too. Take care. Speak soon.